It's Chris. Another Star Wars Unlimited reveal week. We have a bunch of new cards past what has been revealed so far of the two-player starter decks. New cards, as well as a new keyword, Smuggle. Is it looking freaking sweet? Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Shaking things up before we even get anywhere close to knowing what else is going to be out there. You want to see what else is new? Thoughts? A little bit of commentary to go along with it. Let's go. So let's just go right into it, right? I have 8 new cards here so far that have been revealed additionally of Shadows of the Galaxy. As we're talking here, first up, we got a couple blue cards. Calculated Lethality, 4 resource to get it out. Defeat a non-leader unit, though, that costs 3 or less. Very interesting dynamic there. Non-leader unit. Sort of a anti-Boba Fett, if you will, but a little bit more expensive than some of the other cards that you'll see in some Iden and Thrawn or even Tarkin decks that are going heavier in terms of elimination. For each upgrade that unit has, give an experience token. So this is going straight up against the Mandalorian deck as a whole. So we're going to see a little bit more influence there. Obviously, like we talked about with the starters, of recycling, getting those upgrades back. Because right now, with just Spark of Rebellion out there and all of the cards that just wipe out units with some of those decks, like the Iden deck that I was just using earlier tonight, when you've got 6 or 7 of those cards in a deck, easily you're just vanquishing foes left and right, doing damage, taking them off the field before you can have them around for more than a turn. And so this is another variable with it. 4, resources a little bit higher. It's going to give an experience token, so that's great. 3 or less cost is nice. But I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm not sure that this is going to replace some of the other things unless you're going up against sort of a counter upgrade deck. Now, the next card here is Unexpected Escape. Again, 1 cost, which is fantastic, but you're exhausting a unit. And you can rescue captured cards guarded by that unit. So, very specific use. And unless you're going up against a heavy capture deck, I don't know. The 1 cost is great. The exhausted unit is great, but for other cards that will exhaust units or have an additional effect or not allow them to get readied again in the next phase, I'm not sure where this one's going to fall in. And again, it's going to be very, very specific from that aspect. So we'll kind of see how that one fits in as a whole. And then the third blue card up here that's been revealed, we're going over to the space vehicle side of things, which is giving another Sentinel marker on the space side of things. There's not a ton of those to begin with. So for a 5 cost, is it going to be worth it? Because you're getting the Smuggle keyword, meaning when this is played down as a resource, if you then pay the Smuggle cost of 5 in this case, replace it with the top card in your deck. So putting down cards that are going to be more expensive to get out, being able to use them as resources early on and swap them onto your board to catch your opponent napping, essentially. This mechanic as a whole has absolutely huge ramifications because up until this point, obviously, you put a resource card down and it's kind of stuck there. Now, this is just going to allow for more manipulation because I think you're going to start to see Smuggle cards that are allowed to get out. And I think it's going to allow at some point, maybe not this set, but in sets down the line, to get other cards out from the resource deck as well. So that starts to open up tons of possibilities. Instead of just having a few cards in your deck that you're okay with sacrificing and putting in the resource pile, now you're going to have cards that are going to maybe want to get slotted there sooner rather than later. Because you know that this is going to be manipulatable in a much, much more dynamic way as the game, as the sets evolve. I think it's going to throw this meta a little bit off kilter just based off of that. And so far, if you asked me which one I liked better, I mean, Smuggle is probably the new keyword of the 3 round that I prefer as a whole. Next up, Crosshair, green unique card, 2/2, personal clone trooper, 4 cost. Action and paying a resource gets +1/+0 for this. So essentially you're paying for a raid, but you can exhaust it and deal damage equal to its power to an enemy ground unit. So that's where it's slightly better in that sense. And let's not, ignore the elephant in the room. 6 defense. 6 defense for a 4 cost. So you could use this guy to smash through some walls without necessarily even having, because it's just dealing damage. They're not attacking. So this has some significant synergy if you can start to combo it with, cards that allow you to vanquish foes who are damaged or doing additional damage to enemies or whatever it may be. that allows you to supplement other non-direct attack cards now with also having a troop out there. Now you throw a sentinel on this card, and then you start to get layers of, well, harder to deal with ground troops as a whole. So that has some real possibility of comboing there in addition. This is going to go right along with the starter set here. This is the way. I mean, thematically, sure. I mean, for a little less cost than some of the other search your deck cards that we've seen so far of Spark of the Rebellion, 2 cost for searching the top 8 cards for Mandalorian cards or upgrade cards. So yeah, you get to reveal them and you get to draw them. If you had it maybe as you get to reveal one and, you know, play one, if it's an upgrade for free or something along those lines, this card would be astronomically more dynamic. Because I think that's the problem, right? Is taking your turn action to get some of these upgrade cards out there as opposed to, well, you know, being able to attack or being able to vanquish or being able to, you know, other action event cards. And so having to not be able to get them out in one fell swoop maybe slows this down a little bit, but I think it's intriguing to see, again, what other cards are going to have the Mandalorian logo so that you can start to, well, synergize, because this is an early out, especially if you cram your deck full of Mandalorians, you're going to have a lot more of a plethora to choose from. So I could see it being a little bit better than just what we know right now. But again, that's going to depend on a lot of what else is in this set just from the starter deck, because again, the starter decks are good, but they've got some cards in them you're not going to see elsewhere as well. So what's that going to look like? Then we're going to go over red here. And here's your upgrade that we're starting to see them throw out. A 1 cost. It's going to give you +2 to the attack. And it's also going to attach it to a non-vehicle that is going to get you the Smuggle icon. So 1 Smuggle, attack with the attached unit when using Smuggle. So a little bit of combo system there. You're definitely going to see some more synergy as you get more Smuggle cards, of manipulating those cards, getting them out, and getting extra attacks to go along with them. That's where this deck may be the focus at some point, is having that with like a Han leadership and shoot first sort of style attack system that you've got going on here. So we'll see. I think this could be interesting depending on what else you see with the Smuggle, and it gets you +2, and it's an upgrade that's just going to sit out there. But again, we got to see some way for upgrades to be buffered or fortified, or, you know, being able to, you know, get them back out in the first place instead of just taking your actions right now. Action economy is so valuable that it's just not there as a whole quite yet. Now, 2 others here we'll talk about, both of these being green alignments. Timely Intervention as a tactic card. Again, a 1 cost, playing a unit from your hand and giving it ambush. So then it also gives it the Smuggle keyword. Okay. There's the combo that I'm talking about right there. Those 2 back to back. How are you going to synergize? That's going to be a lot of deck crafting going on. And as much as I like the idea of this, I think crafting it and the timing of this is already taking it a step up mechanically than anything we've seen in Spark of Rebellion. And therein lies the problem, right? Like, if you're like me, I'm not a good gambler with this game. I'm not always the best synergistic approach in terms of figuring stuff out yet. And so this is not going to be a card that is going to be, you know, just throw it in your deck and kind of see how it goes. You got to have a specific plan with a few of these Smuggle cards, I think. And you're going to have the action economy down, but it's going to take some time, I think, to get used to it. So we're going to see how well people can manipulate it. And then the last card that was revealed this past week is Privateer Crew, a 2-cost green card, again with the Smuggle keyword, and when played using the Smuggle keyword, give 3 experience tokens to this unit. So for a 2-cost and a 2/2 all of a sudden becoming a 5/5, that's more formidable. And you're going to have to start to see a few more of those to balance out using some of the upgrade cards, I think, in order to kind of get a little bit of balance in the force. Haha, bad joke, I'm sorry. Just a balance in terms of what you can get out there comparatively, because again, how you're going against these rush decks of the Sabine, or even the totally dismissive decks of your Idens or Palpatines in terms of just pure destructiveness, that's going to be what you're going to be trying to balance out as a whole. So again, I'm suspecting that we're going to start to see more and more leaks, and I think you're going to start to see more theory crafting. I think it's too early with too few of the cards out, but give this another month or so of people essentially having more and more cards, because in a month, you know, if they do 5 or so a week, you're going to have another 20 cards out. You're going to have about 40 cards available to you from this set already. And I think you're going to start to see people, you know, sort of creating new different things than we've already seen. That's going to shake things up. But again, how much is it going to shake it up? That's going to be the question. And how is the first stuff going to stack up? Because that's the other thing, right? Like, if it's all overpowered, none of it's overpowered. But if you start to see some creep into set 2, is it going to be balanced enough with set 1 to make you not abandon set 1 in the first place? Because I don't want to abandon set 1. I'm having some fun with some items and some beans and a few boba decks right now. So I kind of want to see what else we can do. And how well is this stuff going to incorporate? Is this just going to create solely new decks? Is it going to be in, you know, a mix, a flavoring with some of the old decks that we've already seen? Some of the cards in the starter set, like the Death Trooper Phase 3, you know, and Grogu, yeah, those are going to incorporate, but some of these other very more specific ones, you may be designing completely new decks around depending on what else is out there. Or how fusion can you make them? That's going to be the question. It's going to be the fun point to kind of see what people can do theory crafting wise. So there you go. New Star Wars cards. What do you think? Excited? Trepidatious? Want to see more? I do. FFG, let's go. Show me what you got. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Let me know what you think down below. What deck is your favorite right now? What decks are you playing? Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want. Peace out.